Hey guys, welcome to the Casey Catch Up. I'm stoked to get Jacko, who's had a cracker of a summer with some epic results, winning the Bluewater Classic, but also having a pretty good battle with Kane for Maui to Molokai. So welcome back, Jack. Stoked to have you on.
Yeah, James, how's it going? Thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be back on the show talking.
Yeah, that's I've been in Australia. I've got just a young son who's just sort of soaking up all that family time, but we were talking about maybe going to Hawaii, and we decided to do a bit of a road trip up the east coast of Australia. And I did a few races up in Cairns and, some awesome downwind zones. But, there was lacking the foil froth community and the downwind scene over in Hawaii this year has looked unreal. So I've been sitting on the
Yeah,
sidelines just watching.
I mean, our crew, we've kind of foiled with everyone on social media already who does the downwind stuff. Like all the North Shore lifeguards, John, and Nathan, Kai, our little Voyager squad. But we're missing you, Casey, James
Yeah.
Casey. So we've been we've been waiting for you to come over to Hawaii to get some runs in with us and experience like our vibe. So that's much needed. I recommend you come and join us.
Yeah, it's on the list. I think next overseas trip is almost guaranteed to be Hawaii, at least in the next 12 months. So I can't wait to have the Voyager hospitality and hopefully get some good bumps.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so I want to dive in. Let's go chronologically, I guess. Let's start with the racing because Maui to Molokai looks like it was an epic run. Kane sort of described it as a little bit light for Maui standards, but it looks like it really turned on in the middle there. Talk us through, what equipment you're using and how you prepared for your that's your first channel crossing, right?
Yeah. So a little light on Maui standards. I like how you use that. It was pretty bombing the entire way, in my opinion, and I think anyone would agree. But I've wanted to do a channel crossing on the foil since I learned how to downwind, which was like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So since 2000, after seeing the 2019 Molokai to Oahu with Kai and Jeffrey, it kind of got me inspired. So I got in the SUP, thought it was going to be like a 1 week transition. I'm going to end up killing it, and realized how humbling it is to even learn how to do the whole SUP thing. So that kind of set me back. And then on top of that, they weren't having it that year because COVID was like in full effect. And then, so that was 2020 and 2021. Last year, we all thought it was going to go, and we were all getting better at the SUP. But like we weren't like really good. Our goal was to just like rush it and just send it. So thankfully they did not hold any events again 2021. And then this past year we kind of nailed it with our crew and got all the flat water starts down, all the bump starts, and got confident where the SUP is not a problem anymore and we can just do it one speed. So being confident with our skills, and then luckily Molokai was kind enough to host everyone when we came, because the big deal was with COVID, Molokai didn't want everyone on the island, and out of respect, since they have a small community with like no hospital, we didn't want to go over and like have an international crew of people from all over the world get this little island community sick. Mm-hmm. So now that COVID is kind of like laying back here, everything's kind of back to normal. So luckily we were able to have that event. And of course, I had to sign up for it as my first channel crossing, as my first inter island connection. Really, it was a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest question for me, I guess, is how do you deal with the distance? Like, because did you train and do what is it? It's like 45 kilometers. It's like what, 20 something miles?
26 or 27, arguably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, being on an island, if you imagine like your whatever shaped island, let's say it's like this, you either have this stretch of coast right here, or you have this stretch of coast right here, and you can't go all the way around the island. So, our winds come from the northeast in the summertime. So it's really just east to west we can go. And on Oahu, the farthest you can go is, I want to say 17 to 20 miles on the North Shore. So that's Turtle Bay to Mokulia.
Yeah.
But that needs a certain wind direction. And then like in town where I live and where most of us do our downwind runs, the farthest you can go is maybe 12.
Yeah.
So like it was a challenge, like figuring out like what to do. But luckily, Kahi, Himana, and I all went to Hood River in June. And for those of you who've been to Hood River or lived there, basically, when Hood River isn't good, you can go out east and get stronger wind, correct?
Yeah.
So we went out east to Arlington and had 2 days of just cranking wind. And Matt Elsasser told us about this 26-mile downwind run from Blalock, whatever they call it, all the way to 3 Mile. So for all the Hood River, Oregon guys listening, Blalock to 3 Mile, we did 26 miles or something. And that was pretty good because that was the farthest I've ever gone unfoiled. Like that was my first time I've ever gone that far.
Yeah.
And it was interesting for me to see what standing on your feet for that long feels like. And it was like a little bit over 2 hours because Hood River or the Columbian River is just basically flowing against you. So you're going really slow.
Yeah. Bumps are epic.
So that was like
slow.
Yeah, the bumps are epic, but like you think you're going 20 miles an hour Mach speed, but really you're not. Like distance velocity, I guess.
I guess it doesn't take into account the water going against you, So if you like sort of in the water against you plus the speed you're going, you're probably going as quick, if not quicker, than like Hawaii. But GPS is only tracking how fast you're moving, and that current's stopping you. So it's
So like the GPS, like our average, or actually no, our top speeds were like 13 miles per hour, 12.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know what that is for you guys, the kilometers, but basically in the ocean we would go much faster. So that was the first time we did that far. And then I came home a month later, like right before the event was going to happen. We got a crew and did Turtle Bay to Mokulia, which is 20 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So we figured like, we got a feel for that and it worked out good.
Yeah. So you had the K's in your legs. So you and that was all sort of, you did those longer runs in preparation for the Pailolo.
Yeah, for sure. Like I had Pailolo in mind and we wanted to just see what it's like being up on foil. And originally I was the only one to do it. And then I think once we went 20 miles, Eric Sturman and Simeon realized like, hey, this is not that hard, like on our legs, like we can do it if the conditions are right. So we waited for the wind forecast, and like once they saw that the wind was going to be good, they signed up and did it no escort.
Yeah, right. But you had an escort, right?
Yeah, I had an escort. I had my crew since 2019. We've been trying to do it. So it's
like,
it wasn't just a me thing. It's my friend's dad who was my escort, and he's been wanting to do it since 2019.
Yeah.
My dad's been wanting to be on the boat. We've been wanting to film something, and it worked good because Lyft sponsored the entire event and funded a cameraman and funded video opportunity for that. So it was like for fun, but we were also like got insane content from it.
Yeah, it was a photo shoot as well as a race. How good's that?
Yeah, it was kind of an everything. It was for me, for Lyft, for publicity purposes with video, and then for my friend's dad who wanted to drive his boat across the channel, and my friends, his kids, which is my best friend, him and all his friends came and they went diving on Lanai the day before. So it was like a big group effort, and we all had a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so cool. It's a full-on adventure. And I guess that'd been in the making since 2019. So we're just stoked to get it done.
Yeah, it felt so awesome. And it was an all boys trip. We all went and we just like, it was just super fun, and everyone enjoyed each part of it, even though it was mainly for myself, which sounds a little selfish, but they got to dive and, everyone got to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's tricky because I know exactly it's an individual sport, the downwind paddling, but it does, especially for the channel crossings, it takes an entire team. And I know from, organizing that, how much work goes into it, and how good it is when you finally get the conditions. And it's a team event, but sort of centered around the person doing the run. So congrats, mate.
Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted to dive into the race because it looks like, from all reports, you and Kane had a pretty good battle. He was speaking pretty highly of the speeds you were moving, especially early on. I think right at the end it got a little bit light on. But how did the legs pull up, and how hard did you feel you could go? Another thing I want to talk about is like, you know, I guess for my like 12-hour run, I was really taking very, I guess, conservatory lines, like not attacking, because, you know, I'm there for 12 hours, whereas for a 2-hour race, that's sort of a distance you can almost like really sprint, and, you know, the up and overs, the bumps, like up and overing bumps, that's taxing. And so how was the race?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, congratulations. I haven't gotten to tell you in person over the phone, but congratulations on that incredible send. But yeah, diving into that question, 3 years ago, if you said, "Oh, I foiled 27 miles," people would be like, "Holy shit, like you're gnarly."
Yeah.
And people would trip. And then now when you say, "Oh, I foiled 26 miles," people would still be like, "Oh, that's crazy." But like in the foiling world, like, "Oh, that's pretty doable."
Yeah.
Like,
as long as
especially if you have the right equipment.
Yeah.
So I think that like mindset is changing. But I foiled with Kane the week before. Well, I go over to Maui a lot to just hang out with them. I have a lot of friends there, and it's pretty relatively cheap and easy to fly between the islands. So I'll go over to Maui and hang out with Kane and see like all his foils. And basically his advantage, besides the obvious that he's an incredible foiler and incredibly talented, is that his foil to body ratio is different than mine. So he has like, you know, I don't know, he's 6'2" or whatever, or 6 feet, and like I want to see probably like 180 or something, and he has all this weight that just drives forward. And then on top of that, he makes like pretty much the fastest foils out there right now that are just like mysterious, only he has. So that combo just makes him so fast, and like his cruising speed is like hard to catch up. So knowing that right off the start, I just blocked out everything. I just like didn't even like think about the other people. And that channel it's pretty small for a channel between an island. It's only 8 miles wide, but the way the course goes, it's actually the 26-mile distance. And once you're out there, the channel of course is so much bigger than like you expected. So right off the start, they blew the horn. We're in the bumps. It's not like a beach start or anything. We're in the bumps, and it's pretty windy. So it's really easy to get up. They blew the horn, and I got up right away and just scratched up. And as soon as I got up, I just went like 100% hopping over bumps and trying to get an early lead instead of the conserve your energy power at the end. My goal was to power 100% of the time as much as I can and see until like I die. And then once I die, like just try to like make it work, which is not like the best strategy, I guess. If like thinking about like a marathon, like a running race, you want to like pace yourself. But I've always like just been a fan of, even like doing the mile runs at school, I've always been a fan of just like 100% sprinting it the whole way. So that was my strategy. And then it worked out pretty good in the start. Like I smoked everyone. And I think as the race went on, the more tired I got, the more they caught up. But in the beginning, I had like a huge gap on everyone, and Kane went, I don't know if you can imagine the Hawaiian Islands. You have, I guess, Big Island here, Oahu here, Maui here, and Kauai here. So Lanai is south of Molokai. So Kane went towards Lanai, which basically he went like south, and I went straight west. Knowing that I wanted to hug the island coming in and hug the coastline just to get the shortest amount of like distance covered, which like made sense to me. But then what Kane did, which is pretty smart, is that he shot it towards Lanai, and the water out there moves faster and it's so much bigger. So he was utilizing the bigger and faster swells to get more distance, even though he was kind of going farther distance wise, just because like of the curve he took. So the whole entire time I thought I'm winning this race, and and like I don't see him anywhere. I look behind me, and all the escort boats are like behind me, like pretty far. So I know that everyone else is back of me, but he had no escort boat.
Yeah, he's undercover.
He was fully undercover, like just this little dot in the middle of the channel that I couldn't even see. So coming in, you turn the Kamalo buoy, and that's basically the shoreline of the entire south side of Molokai. And you turn the buoy, and you're 10 miles out, straight downwind. And what gets tricky is that the bumps aren't like huge open ocean fast rollers. They're super like close together and steep.
Yeah.
So you can't hop it. And
Yeah.
it's like if for example, if I were to go over to Molokai right now and do that run, I would bring my biggest, slowest wing and just stay in between, because it's physically taxing to constantly be pumping over.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're pumping uphill because they're so short.
Yeah.
So the whole time you're like turning back and forth, S turns the entire way, trying to just hang in the bumps. And then, I'm sorry, can you hear that?
Yeah,
dinging?
no, that's good. Yeah. Oh, no, I can't hear the dinging.
Oh, you can't hear the ding. I'm getting notifications on my computer, but I didn't want to
It's
interrupt
all good.
it. Okay. Anyway, back to the story. So we're doing these S turns in between these bumps, and I'm thinking I'm like in front of the entire pack, and Kane is like way outside, and he's gonna go outside and he's gonna shoot it in at the last minute. So I finally get to the buoy. I'm pretty tired. My legs are like starting to give out in the last like 10 minutes. Up until that 10-minute mark, I was perfectly fine. And 10 minutes left of the 2 hours, my leg kind of got sore. Then as soon as I turned the buoy upwind to like do your last 300-yard upwind pump on flat water, my leg just locked up and I had to fall down and I had to paddle in.
Mm-hmm.
So Kane ended up beating. Okay, so we're weaving between these bumps, and there's about 10 miles left. And then as you went closer to the finish line, the bumps kind of got wider, so we were able to kind of generate more speed and like take more distance. So meanwhile, I'm doing that. Kane is outside south of me, and he's shooting it in at the last minute. I get to the buoy. My legs are fine until 10 minutes, until the last final 10 minutes of the 2 hours. So the last mile, my legs kind of sore, but I'm handling. And then I turn the buoy to go upwind, and all this wind is in my face, and I'm pumping. I get about 25 yards. My leg locks up. I fall off my board. I'm like, I can't even move my leg. So like that's like 30 seconds to a minute of like recovering. And I just get on the board and start paddling. I paddle upwind all the way in, thinking I won the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I just won this entire race. And then I see Kane standing at the end. I'm like, oh, but I kind of had a feeling. I was like, oh, like, no way. Like I beat him. He would have been way too fast, especially since the swells are pretty big.
Yeah.
And I think I was like 155 and Kane was 147 or something like that. So
yeah,
he had like a 7 or 8 minute lead on me. That was like pretty significant, which is a mile and a half at the end if you get tired.
Yeah, and I wonder how much time you lost. I guess that the paddling in on your board rather than foiling in.
Yeah, I definitely lost about solid 2 or 3 minutes, but he still would have beat me because he was already like standing on the shore.
Yeah.
Or the harbor when I came in. But yeah, like I was pretty proud of my performance. I think my gear and the conditions, like it just all came together, and I think I performed pretty well. But yeah, my goal the entire way was just to hammer it the entire time, constantly. In the beginning was hopping over every single bump, and like if I couldn't, I would kick out onto the big one and use that speed to get over. And then like I didn't really do too many like turns the whole way. It was kind of just point and shoot.
Yeah.
And then what the other thing that helped is I was just riding a 120 lift high aspect and then 25 tail, which is just like it was a stock. They sent it to me the day before.
Yeah.
Straight out of nothing like prototype or anything. But what I did change up is I added a fuse adapter.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see them with the Lift products, but
yeah,
Lift actually makes these little like fuse adapters. They're probably 3 inches or so. And what that did was with the bigger swells, just gave me way more drive and power and momentum going forward.
Yeah.
Because like with the 120, it's a pretty sensitive wing, but there's like It's incredible when you're going slow because you can go slow and still have enough lift, and you can go fast at the same time.
Yeah.
But once you go super fast, there's like not a lot of top end speed. So once you get into like the high, like 18, 20 mile per hour mark, it kind of bogs out. But when you add that adapter, that speed just the speed range opens up, and you can go really fast and feel super locked in.
Yeah,
So that was like a game changer.
for sure. I've noticed that with some of the lift stuff, and when I haven't used the 120 a lot, but when I went really quick, it felt like speed wobbles. You sort of get this like really skatey feeling, and I was just using the stock glide tail, I think it is, and without the extender, I was like, man, I just need a bit more control when I get to that top end because it got sketchy.
Yeah.
So it sort of makes sense.
It's
and
pretty
the new tail, I think, as
pretty
well.
sensitive. Yeah, it's pretty sensitive when you're going fast and you kind of like wiggle out, or like it just feels like you're gonna explode.
Yeah. Nah, cool. So and what length board are you using for the channel crossing?
Yeah, so I know everyone's like trend, like this whole Barracuda hype is like taking off in Hawaii, and guys are like ordering Barracudas and waiting like months and months for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty incredible because like with a board that's designed like how Dave Klama designs them, you can pretty a non-experienced / pretty novice stand-up paddler and still be able to get up really easily. So like if you're just trying to get into downwind, I think it's an excellent tool. Same thing with Amundsen. Amundsen's doing these like pretty narrow designs, but I've tried them and I think they're awesome. But my whole thing is once you're up, I don't want to like feel like I have like a ton of length in front of me because I don't want to like touch down on the next bump. So I have my current board. It's a 5'8" by 20 inches wide and 75 liters. I would have gone like 6'0" or something, but 5'8", it had to fit in my board bag.
I love it.
So I didn't want to like have to get like a new bag and everything. So I just kept it 5'8".
Yeah.
And it's 75 liters.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's really good actually. Like I can flat water the 120 on it.
Yeah. Wow.
And once I'm up, it also feels like short enough where it's not like a ton of board. So it works well for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've played around with a bunch of lengths, and I agree with you. If you've got the strength or the technique to be able to paddle up a small foil in the bumps, then there's kind of no need to go the extra long Barracudas. But if you're a novice and you're learning, that extra length gives you the chip in. If you can get up and going. That's the way
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But as you progress, I expect people to start to go a little shorter, like towards the 6 foot mark and away from the 7 or 8 foot mark, just because to me, and something you sound the same, similar, it's easier to maneuver being shorter.
Yeah, I mean, the guys like in our crew, one guy has like a 7'10", and then this other guy has like a 7'6", and they're like killing it on the pop-ups. But I think like once everyone like figures out how to pop up easily, they're gonna be wanting to go like 6 feet. Yeah. Just because once you're up, it feels so great, and if you can do it, then might as well get a short board. But so that was my equipment, and it worked really good. Like I couldn't think of I've tried all the foils, all the brands. I couldn't have thought of a better foil to use in the event because I think the most like underhyped wing that no one talks about is a Moses 800. And Moses, I got some gear from Moses like in the early downwind days, and the 800 is just like really fast. And I think it's faster than the 120, but the 120 is a better all around wing because the problem with the 800 is that there's no low end. Yeah. So you got to paddle it up, which is pretty hard. But once you get it up, it would be insane in the channel. Yeah. And then at the end, you would be struggling. You wouldn't be able to like complete the end because you'd be tired, and it's like so hard to pump. So I think that's where the 120 shined. It was like great speed, but also like great lift.
Yeah, and you nailed it there. Really well. The low end of the 120 is kind of, people always talk about how fast the 120 is, but I think it's actually the low end of the 120 that is the magic. It can go really slow for how fast it can go as well. And it's
it's pretty great. I mean, Lyft just released the 90,
Mm.
and like really it's the 90 is a totally different wing. It's not like a 120. Like that 120 is still like shines. Like that's the one. The 90 is incredible if you want to just go like max speed. But realistically, like I thought about using the 90 in the event because I can paddle up the 90, but I can't do it on demand.
Yeah.
I gotta get lucky.
Yeah.
So like, and I knew right off the start you had to get up really fast because you want to be in front, right? You want to be first.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of gambling. Like I brought the 90 with me. I was like, should I do it? And I didn't want to like get unlucky. It was really luck for me. Like sometimes I could do it right away, but then sometimes I like couldn't get it up. So I didn't want to get unlucky at the start and not be able to get up. So
Yeah,
I had to
you don't want
play
to
it
lose
safe
that
with the
minute.
120.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that minute or two, which you may not ever like gain that if you don't get up early. So it's
Yeah.
trading off. Maybe it's going to take me 2 minutes to get up. Is it going to be 2 minutes quicker for the entire distance? I don't know.
Yeah.
And we saw that
So,
in 2019 with Jeffrey and Kai, right? Like, so Kai was
yeah.
obviously on a slower foil for the channel, but he could pump up wind, and Jeffrey couldn't. So it's the channel crossings are cool in that respect because it's not just who's the fastest in the middle.
But it's also like a gear game. Like you can't just like get the most crypt fin small foil and get up and just say haha, like, see you guys.
Yeah.
Because like if that was happening, guys would just like be riding these ridiculously like small like high aspect wings and just smoking everyone. And it comes down to like who has the most money or who has like the best sponsor.
Yeah.
But instead with these channel crossings, it's like fine tuning your gear so it's like the perfect blend. And like also you as a rider, like you can't be relying entirely on your gear because it kind of forces you to ride a bigger foil.
Yeah.
With the way that these channel crossings are set up. So
Yeah.
you got to be also like good.
Yeah.
And like I'm pretty sure that's what happened in Hood River. Mateo beat Kane because Kane went down at the end, and Mateo had the slow he had a Armstrong high aspect, but it was like a big slow one.
Yeah, it was the 1125, I think, which is not that fast. Yeah.
It's not that fast, but it has a crazy amount of lift and glide. And that's how Mateo beat him. So it's like it's a full trade-off.
Yeah. Which I kind of love that. Like it does two things to me. One, it's going to mean every week there's probably going to be a different winner because it comes down to what foil you choose. And like, you probably have like 2 or 3 foils that you would normally downwind depending on conditions. And on the day especially for a channel crossing, you're going to experience more than one type of condition the entire way because the beginning might be flat. The beginning is going to be the middle's going to be really big. And then the end's probably, gets a bit gnarly or upwind. And so it's not, as you said, it's not straightforward. The fastest foil isn't always going to win. It comes down to a few factors. So it's pretty cool, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, also like with the Molokai to Oahu, you have to do the flat water start.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not even like in the bumps. Like it's dead flat water. And
yeah.
You gotta,
it's howling offshore. It's like a wind assisted flat water start.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't done it yet, but that's definitely what I want to do. Just because like growing up, you hear like the Molokai Hoi like put on by Hawaiian Airlines, like all these huge sponsors sponsoring these paddling events, like 6-man paddling events, and it's like so cool to cross Kaiwi Channel and then come home to Oahu, and that's where you end up, like in front of everyone, in front of the entire community.
Yeah.
So that's the next one for me on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it happens next year. I'm keen to get over there and race you and race everyone else because it's I'd imagine, especially for you, like growing up on Oahu, living on Oahu, like it's like the Super Bowl of downwind racing. It's the race. Yeah. It's
exactly. It's like it's the name too, like Molokai to Oahu. Like you don't hear people like raving about Maui to Molokai.
Yeah.
It's like Molokai to Oahu is the downwind run. So
yeah.
Even though the thing is though, as much as that name is so prestigious, the Maui to Molokai run is actually much better than
way more fun. Way more fun. Yeah.
It's just like the way the islands are positioned and the way the like predominant wind comes out of the east northeast. Molokai to Oahu is like downwind, but like kind of like, right? It's kind of like
it's not,
that
it's
weird, like it
it's
has an upwind tilt to it.
yeah. I'd say I call it an ocean race with a downwind, downwind slant on it, whereas Maui to
Yeah,
Molokai is a downwind race.
that's a great way to put in Maui to Molokai, straight
Yeah,
downwind down the pipe. You're looking in front of you at these as these bumps just stack up. So it's
yeah.
yeah.
Whereas M2O, you're kind of cutting right the whole time, that's kind of the beauty of it. Like it's hard, and that's why I think it is sort of more prestigious than M2M, because
Yeah.
look, it's really tough, and the fact that it's tough, you remember it and you really feel like you've achieved something. Whereas Maui to Molokai it's you sort of you finish that race buzzing, and especially after you've done it a few times, and sounds like you left nothing out there. But as you do more of that race, you'll learn to probably maybe enjoy it a little more, and sort of. But it's like
It's just fun.
it's so fun. It's like 4 or 5
Yeah.
kilometers less, or like 3 or 4 miles less, but it's way faster, way faster than
Yeah.
M2O. Yeah. Actually, that's
Yeah,
something I want
I
to talk
agree.
about. The fact that you had an escort boat, do you think you could push harder because you knew that if you completely bonked and cramped up, that you could just, jump on the boat, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's like Simeon and Eric Sturman, they're like, oh, I just want to make it. Like, I just want to make it and not like die in the middle of the channel and get
Yeah.
eaten by sharks. But with me having this like escort boat, all my best friends are on it. Like, they're sitting on the roof of the boat, filming me and cheering me on, and just cruising. My dad gets to witness it because like you can't really like watch Downwind Foiling. Like, my dad like
Yeah.
gets to surf with me, and like we go like he's seen all the surfing
Yeah.
because like he's in the water with me, but he
Mm.
doesn't foil, so he can't like see me downwind besides like from the cliff,
Yeah. Yeah.
like at Diamond Head. So it was cool for him to watch, and then also like with the filming thing, like we got the boat, and like or the filmer could like, which is my other friend, he could be on the boat, and it just like worked out really good. And like knowing that I have a support crew, like emotionally was cool, but then also like logistically, like I don't know. I posted a video on my Instagram a few days ago, but me like going up to the boat, my dad threw me an apple,
I was going to ask. Yeah. That was my next
and I
question.
dropped that. I dropped the
Yeah.
apple because his throw was terrible,
It was horrible. It was
and
the
then
thrower's fault for sure.
he got the cantaloupe and threw me a cantaloupe, and I caught it and ate it.
Yeah.
And it's like knowing that I can like go to the boat, and that was the only time I like really had support from the boat. Like the rest I kind of got,
Yeah.
but like I definitely needed that something to eat. Like I was kind of like needed energy, and I had my water pack, which was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the escort boat definitely helped.
Yeah, so let's go to nutrition. Like, so was that one, I guess, interchange that you shared on socials the other day? Was that the only was that the only food you ate? Or like,
Yeah, that was the only thing. I really like. I just needed something in my stomach. Really, I was just like hungry. I was like, oh, I just want to eat something, and the fruit was good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat too much just because you don't want to like feel like weighted
Heavy.
down, and you
Yeah.
want to feel like heavy. And the thing is, the water gets you super full. Like the more you drink the water, like I have ice cold water in my backpack. The more I drink it, the more I want it,
Yeah.
and that water makes you full.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was the only thing I ate.
And in your water, it was just water, no like electrolytes or.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, like I've never really gotten into the whole nutrition thing, which is like
Yeah.
kind of bad. Like I probably should,
Yeah.
but like I just never got into it, never like studied it. And for me, I was like as a young kid, I guess I can just like handle and just send.
Fully. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I was going farther, I would definitely like take into account like what to eat and stuff. But I feel like 2 hours, I compare it to this, like it's like a 2 hour foil race would be like a 4 hour surf session.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like toasted after a 4 hour surf session, but I can still handle without like food and water.
Yeah.
And of course, like you get to like take breaks and stuff, but you're still in the sun, you're still in the ocean.
Yeah.
So like looking at it that way, it was like pretty, I guess, like doable in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually one of the really cool things about the downwind foiling stuff, and especially if conditions are good, something like the Palolo or the Kaiwi, like that's they're like, it's a long distance. It's a long way to paddle. For foiling, it's making all these races like a lot shorter. Like Zane did it in an hour and a half on the wing, and you and Kane were under 2 hours. Like the quickest I think I ever paddled it was like 3 hours something, and like you almost halve that, which is it makes the shorter race, I guess, which pretty cool. It makes it really, it should be open to more people now if conditions.
No, yeah, that's what I was kind of like getting on earlier, is like if you said, oh, I foiled from Maui to Molokai like 3 years ago, people would like trip.
Yeah.
But if you say it now, it's like, wait, it's doable. And like, because Simeon and Eric didn't have an escort and they were perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It like almost like got me thinking, it's like, what if like on a really windy weekend or like a good direction, what if like me and like maybe you couldn't do it with a huge group just because like it's too hard, but you and one other guy, or you and 2 other guys that with around the same skill level, like I could fully fly over to Maui and send it no escort by myself and make it to Molokai.
Yeah.
Like unhurt, unless like a shark attacks me or like I have like a gear malfunction.
Which could happen in a local run too. That's
yeah. So like if you plan properly with like a phone and like some water and maybe like, I don't know, like a snack or something, like it's pretty doable to do it without an escort. I mean, like the coast runs I do, which are 8 miles, I have like a board and my hat and like my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I don't take water, I don't take food, I don't take anything.
Yeah.
And
I know
like
the Maui crew, they've like, even before Downwind Foiling, on their SUPs, they would hire an escort boat for like a group of 8 of them, and they'd all send it across the channel. But I kind of agree with you. Like it's 2, maybe 3 hours if you're stopping and regrouping. Like it's pretty doable now to just sort of send it across to Molokai. And like of course you'd want to take all the safety precautions you can. Here in Australia, we've got this app called, it's like Marine Rescue or Marine Safety, and like you can sort of log in and say you're going from here to here, and if you don't if you don't log off by the end, then they sort of like send out call you, and if you don't answer, they send out like a rescue party. But if someone sees you doing that run, like, oh, this person's in trouble, they'll look in their thing and say, oh no, he's going from here to here, he's fine. So it's,
I've never heard of that before. I mean, I'm sure there's something like that in America.
Yeah.
But but I've never heard of that. That's pretty smart, like, to have.
Because when I was first starting, I used to get helicopters like flying, like big winds is when I want to downwind paddle or downwind foil. You get like police helicopters and all this sort of bullshit. It's like, dude, I'm doing downwinder. These are the best conditions. But then with this, then I started using the Marine Rescue app, and it sort of stops the helicopters coming. So it was
like when we first started doing it, like there'd be calls of like, oh, some guy like way out there, but he really just fell on the run and he's paddling back to shore. Like, he's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like these people, like a lot of tourists are just trying to like be good. But yeah, I know what you mean. But the thing is, like, that idea works excellent for Maui to Molokai, because you have Molokai, if you need help, you just paddle downwind, I guess, if like your thing breaks.
Yeah.
And then like Maui is right there, which has like all like the fire trucks and like rescue equipment on that island. And then like if something really goes wrong and you're drifting, like straight south is Lanai that you can like, I guess, paddle to. So you have like 3 options of like rescue, where if you're doing Molokai to Oahu, you're pretty like screwed. If like you need an escort boat, you can't just go over there and like, oh, I'm gonna foil to Oahu. Like you need a boat for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess those that are listening, I guess, don't just think you can go send M2M any old day. You need some experience, but if you've done it before, definitely take a phone and tell people you're going and whatnot. But I think I agree with you, Jack. When I was over there a few years ago, I'm like, man, we should be doing this like as the local run, and just get because Malika is almost too short, really, if you're flying over for just a day. To do a few, you got to do at least 2 Maliko runs,
No, yeah, I've like gone over, like I've spent like $100 to go over, and like thinking I'm gonna go downwind all day, and I'll do like one downwind, which is like half an hour.
Yeah.
And then end up just like cruising with my friends all day, and it's like, oh wait, like I technically like did a Maliko run, but it was really just half an hour of foiling for $100. Like, was it worth it? But
Yeah.
yeah, so like I went over the other weekend and like we did like 2 every day, and it was that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And Malika's pretty epic run. Good to test equipment.
Hey though, yeah, but Hawaiian Airlines just announced that for the rest of the year, foilers in Hawaii, they have a $39 fare one way to all the islands inter-island until 2023. So
get on it.
that's a little bit of an incentive to get over to the other islands. Like Kauai guys come to Oahu, or Oahu guys let's go to Maui, and because each island is different. Like Oahu has like our crew, the Voyager vibe and like everything, and it's fun. But then Maui has like better bumps, and then Kauai, poor guys on Kauai have nothing. But Kyle Maligro and all those guys. The poor island's a circle, so it's like you can't really like
downwind. It's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, but although I was there the other week and I did see what is probably the best downwind run in the state, which is Napali Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
And Napali is, I guess, like from the north to the west side of the island.
Mm-hmm.
And the weekend I went, which is last week, it was nuking wind. And it's not practical to just send it because like you end up on the west side of Kauai where there's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So like you would definitely need an escort boat to run that. But if like the Kauai guys could get together and fund an escort boat on the proper day, they could probably score the best run in the entire Hawaiian Island chain. And I think it's about maybe like Honolulu Bay to the end. It's like 15 miles.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
And it's pretty it's pretty incredible, like that run. Yeah,
I know. I almost went over to Kauai a couple times after M2O because people were saying that that downwind stretch can be really good. But what I've heard is if the wind isn't quite right, the beginning will be like really good, and then sometimes the wind will like actually come headwind because the way the island's circular.
Yeah,
it like wraps all the way around. So if you don't get it quite right, you get like headwind at the end rather than bumps the whole way. So it's
yeah, it's tricky, but that's why you would need the escort boat to like keep it realistic. Just like because I was looking down the coast, like we got to the end of this hike, and I was looking down the coast, and it's like the most raging bumps I've ever seen in the ocean, like more than the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then like all of a sudden just nothing.
Yeah.
Like from that to that, and that's just because the way the island curves.
Yeah. So with escort boat sounds like a good way to not get stuck out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, I want to dive into the Bluewater Classic as well, because that's your local run, right? And that was the Molokai to Oahu team sort of put that on this year. And I know they were chatting to the Oahu, the Voyager crew about the best run for a foil. And originally it was going to be from Makapu past like Waikiki, and they changed it up for the foilers to be the Hawaii Kai run basically, which is dreamy, compared to the other option. How was that race? Like, how did that all go?
Yeah, so Oahu has a opportunity for like 25 miles of downwinding.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is like at one point you would have to be like 4 or 5 miles offshore.
Yeah.
In like the literally like middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I've never done it. It's not like something I'd like want to do. I'm not like thinking about it like, oh, I'm just gonna go do a 25-mile downwind run in Oahu just because it's not realistic, put it that way.
Yeah.
And then Makapu, for like from Makapu to the point, I don't know if you can envision it, but like that's on the east side. Mm-hmm. And then you turn the point and that's like the south side.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first like mile or two is like
upwind.
Side wind, like side up, like you're really like you go upwind and you turn your side wind.
Yeah.
So like you can't do that on the foil, but then once you turn the coast or once you turn the point and it's like the entire coast, that's like insane.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
So that decision to change the course was kind of like made by all of us. They kind of asked us like, what do you think is the best? And we said, instead of doing the full way, how about we just do 8 miles of our local run, which is China Walls to Kaimana Beach. And that way there's bumps all the way, and almost any like amount of wind is doable. And it just ensures like a fair race, where like if you did what they were recommending, what would happen is most people would have like had to stop like at the end, just because like you're so far out and like there's not really bumps, and then coming in it's like this huge kind of like bay at the end. It's like this lagoon.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just impossible. I hate to say it, but like you cannot do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun anyway. Like you'd almost need to use too big a foil to make it doable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It would suck. So it was good that they changed it, but I wasn't even supposed to do it actually. I was supposed to go to Hood River and do the gorge event. I was like super stoked to go back after my first trip in June. So that was my first trip of the summer. Then I was planning to go back for the paddle challenge, and then I got sick. And then right when I was like planning the trip, I was like pretty sick. I don't know, it might have been like COVID or something, but
yeah,
I was like in bed like dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I gonna get better by tomorrow morning to book a flight to go to Oregon?
Yeah.
And I just called it off. I would like by the time the race day came around, I was fine, but really I got better like the day before, so it wasn't realistic, and I didn't want to be sick on the mainland.
And all the travel,
it was
that's just going to run you down more. So yeah, keep it local.
So a little blessing in disguise. I got to do my local race, kind of hold it down. Like, you know, it's my zone. It's our zone. It's like we had to hold it down, and fortunately I was able to win that one. And that, compared to like the channel crossing, was like a walk in the park. I sprinted the entire thing, just pumping pretty much over bumps the entire way and using the speed from the swells. And I actually set my fastest time I've ever done on that run. During that race. And I imagine if the swells were even bigger and the wind was even stronger. It was a pretty like minimal day when we went. Like there was definitely like a lot of swell, but it wasn't like nuking wind. So if it was nuking wind and windy, I think I could have gone like way faster than I did.
Yeah. And I guess because it was a race, you were doing the up and over rather than the sort of surfing lines, which is obviously faster. So you're just sending it straight.
But the thing is too, like there's like full on escort boats, like film crews, and like everyone's racing. And so like the vibe made me go faster, where like if I hate going fast on downwind runs. That's like I hate it. Like when I first started, I would like jump off by myself out in the water, but then like you're going fast by yourself and you're just exerting energy, but like there's no like, it's just like for your own personal record, like there's no point in it. So I think like I like to do another race with good conditions and see like how fast I can really go, because like I'm not just gonna go out on a Saturday morning and try to like set a record. It's just not fun for me. And also like I end up not doing too well because like it's only me, so I have no gauge of how fast I'm really going. No one like catching up to me.
The race vibe definitely allows you to like it. I guess it motivates you, you know, like you got to go as quick as you can because there's someone on your tail, and you know it makes it cool. It's a cool. That's why the racing stuff. And it's interesting that you know you were like really like the first race I did was the Poi Bowl in on the Molokai run a few years, or like 5 years ago, probably 4 years ago now, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be so fun. It's gonna all be surfing, and I literally got up like one of the first, and everyone just goes. Everyone went so fast past me, and they're just like going straight up and over, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to keep up with these guys, so I just went out wide and I just surfed. And it was like, okay, I'm on the wrong gear. I think I was using a Molokai 200, and like, you know, I should have been at least on the Eva or something higher aspect. It was a few years ago now, but
that was the best swing at the time too. Eva.
So it was like, you know, and I just wanted to like sort of have fun. I'm like, okay, racing is going to be something different, and I guess you kind of confirmed that. up and over is definitely not the most fun line. And when you're learning, it's hard because you're going to get the heart rate going. But yeah, that line, like up and over and sort of traversing rather than traversing the bumps, kind of, you were saying before, when you got to the south side of Molokai, you were like you couldn't go fast because the bumps were too steep.
Yeah.
Whereas as you got sort of, as the bumps
exactly.
got more stretched out, you're like, okay, now I can up and over. And it's cool. It's cool to sort of hear that same thing that I felt. Whereas when the bumps are too tight, it's kind of like, well, I want to be better off on a slower foil right now. Whereas when the bumps sort of stretch out, it's like, okay, speed is good now. So yeah, it's cool. What foil were you using for the Bluewater Classic?
I was on the 120, but I kind of tweaked it a little bit. I had this like Amundsen Customs 14-inch G10 tail.
Uh-huh.
So like I had this tail adapter and I used the G10 tail. Basically, like I thought it was going to be fast, but also give me a lot of lift because this conditions are like, I don't want to say minimal, but they were like not ideal,
Mm-hmm.
like a little tougher. So I still wanted to go fast, but then I used that tail and it gave me a lot of lift. And it's not the fastest tail, but because it lifted well and like kept me up, it worked really well.
Yeah. I heard you tweaked your gear a little bit for the Bluewater Classic
Yeah.
compared to the
Yeah,
M2M
like,
race.
With the M2M, like the stock stuff were good because like the extender was good and the bigger swells, and then the 25 tail was like great for speed.
Mm-hmm.
But then like I thought about if I used the 120 with the 25 in the race, it probably would have gone too well because probably would have struggled at the start to get up, and then at the end lost pump because actually at the end is the same thing. The way the course is, you can make it to where it ends no problem on a super east windy day, but if it's like average or minimal, you can't, and it's like you're just riding waves from the surf break or like pumping. And that day it wasn't like there's like a ton of waves either, but I was lucky enough to get a wave and like kind of like pump, stay up for a while in the wave and keep pumping, and I made it to the windsock, which is the end, and I was like an upwind pump, so I definitely needed some sort of lift there.
Yeah, you couldn't go full speed tail. Yeah, no, interesting. That's I guess, so for the Bluewater Classic and M2M, it sounded like the start was in the wind line, like you were in decent bumps when you started, and then for the finish, M2M was historically it's been like the edge of the wharf, and there's like someone on the is it the same? Yeah. So that's like same flat thing. Water, pretty much finish. There's no bumps in there behind the reef.
It was pretty similar, like the course. Like now that I think about it, in the bumps, straight off the takeoff, you're in the swells, and then at the end, gets light along the surf line, and then you turn to go upwind. So really, it was the same kind of thing. Needed a good pop up, go fast in the whole way. Then at the end, you needed to like persevere and just muscle it.
Yeah, muscle to the finish. So you have to save something in the tank.
Yeah, so that was a good race, and it was fun because like that's the home zone. It's what we do every day.
Yeah.
So it was cool to like have all the boys do it together, you know.
Oh, for sure. And like having like that's we're trying to get a few of the crew here in Sydney to sort of, we're trying to organize a race, and it's like when you organize a race, it's like everyone sort of starts at the same time and you're finishing at the same spot. Whereas a lot of the time, like we'll do runs together, but it's like some people are running a bit late. You don't want to, like, you're not waiting for them, or you're pressed on time, so you can't like wait for that last person or whatever it is. So it's hard to get a big group all doing this exact same run.
Frick, tell me about it. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
If you were to ask any of like us, like Kahi, he'll text us and be like, "Okay, I have an hour before my kids like and my wife need to go here. Like, let's go." And then like he'll fall, and then like 2 hours later he's finally coming home. Or it's like in between. Last year I had like a bunch of like online classes, but they were spread out throughout the day. So I'd be like, "Yeah, I have a 2-hour window. Like, let's go."
Yeah.
But like I would have to make the run on my prone board or use like a stand up to ensure that I can make it, just to like,
not
so like same thing. It's like if you're and guys running late or like guys on a time crunch, like I gotta go, I'll see you like later. Jump in the water and they take off. So same thing here.
Yeah. Whereas a race, it's like everyone sort of puts the day aside, and it's like, okay, this is the day we're all going to hang out after, and there's a presentation, and start at the same time, finish at the same spot, and it's a bit of a vibe rather than the day-to-day sort of commitments getting in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I got a few people ask questions. They want to ask about the South Shore Oahu run, which is your home run, like Hawaii Kai to Kaimana. This guy asked, he said the last few kilometers in the offshore is no good, and that's the bit that you guys prone, he said. So like, I guess from Black Point onwards, he sort of described it as cross offshore foiling in the surf line. And is that like, how would you describe, I guess, that sort of run?
Yeah, so that's like a pretty common misconception that the Black Point through Diamond Head to Kaimana run is bad.
Mm-hmm.
What he's saying probably sounds like a day when the wind was pretty north.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's north, it's just junk. And
yeah.
So like it's definitely like has opportunity to be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But then also like if the wind's east enough in the summertime, it's like pretty sick because like we call it the Keiko's run because the spot that we take off at like to get the chip shot is called Keiko's.
Uh-huh.
And you get up you can do it on the prone board because if you fall, you paddle in like 2 minutes to the waves, catch a wave and keep going.
Yeah.
It's like learning how to downwind. It's actually pretty good because like it gives you a lot of opportunities to get up, fall, paddle in, get up and fall. Like it's not like you catch one chip and you're like 2 miles out in the middle of the ocean, like, oh, there goes my day.
Yeah.
So that's good. And like the bumps can go all the way to the end on like a east enough and windy enough day. And then at the end, like you get to ride waves to the shore if there are waves.
Yeah.
So like in the summertime, it's so fun.
So the trick is it's got to be more east than north.
Yeah, east. But the thing is, like in the summertime, it already is like pretty east.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wintertime is when the North Shore run gets good.
Yeah.
But like no one really goes in the wintertime just because there's waves and the swells kind of cross up.
Yeah.
But if you do get like some stormy, super like northeast wind day on the North Shore with like no waves, it can be killer downwind.
Yeah.
But usually in town where I live on the South Shore, it's better in the summertime.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's from my experience, I'd agree with you. Like the Hawaii Kai run seems to be a lot more consistent than the North Shore run. Like it's the bumps seem to be bigger. The other thing actually I heard was from a friend who was using a Barracuda. He said that on Molokai it was going unreal, and then they did the Bluewater Classic race actually, and they said that it was a bit harder to use, because the Hawaii Kai run
was it Shep?
Yeah, that was the report. Yeah, from Shep. Yeah,
Shep had kind of a shocker, and like he's killing it on Maui. But the thing is, like, they have the most like perfect conditions on Maui. So like coming to Oahu, on top of that, it wasn't even like good that day. Like it was like so like I'd say I'd rate it a 4 out of 10.
Wow. Yeah.
Like we do the 10 scale here like every day. Like how's the report? Oh, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
So like that was a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
It would have been a 2 out of 10, but like the Diamond Head stretch was somehow just unreal.
Yeah.
But that only lasted like a mile, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then,
from paddling it on a stand up, I know that from like China Wall to Black Point, it gets the wind almost feels offshore. Like at times, I guess maybe it's more of a north day, but it's like on a stand up anyway, the fastest line was always sort of going in towards shore, and if you went too far out, you just sort of got way out, like almost too wide.
You know
what I mean? And the bumps are kind of tight because the wind is coming offshore. They're clean, but they're going a different direction. And then there's like, basically it's quite technical, the Hawaii Kai run compared to a Molokai run.
It's super technical. That you have one swell that goes straight, one that goes out, and then the ground swell which comes in. So you have these 3 swells to choose from, and each one is different size and different speed. But I don't know. It gets when it turns on, it's pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I think a good day. Okay, so the difference between I think I've done enough Maliko runs to like compare it. A good day on Maliko is huge troughs, like way bigger than Oahu.
Yeah.
And like when I say troughs, I mean like the distance, like looking forward.
Yeah.
I hope everyone understands that, but it's like looking forward, you're looking, I don't know, maybe like 20, 30 feet in front of you.
Yeah. That's
Where,
massive.
but the thing is, but when it's that windy on Oahu is bigger. Like the bumps can be like 10 feet high, even though the troughs aren't as long. So
Yeah,
I think
right.
that's the
So
difference. The Oahu bumps are just bigger, but bigger and slower. Than the Maliko ones are smaller but faster.
Yeah, it's like the Maliko ones are stretched out, and I can probably agree with you there. From my, I haven't done many Hawaii car runs, but I've done lots of Maliko. Maliko's like stretched out like this, but like kind of stays low, whereas Oahu kind of stays tight but gets big. Yeah.
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 And it's like a TP here, a TP here. It's not like one continuous wave. It's like here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I yeah.
I know what you're
It's a
saying.
great
I
way to
hope,
put it.
yeah, I hope the listeners can too. But it's like, yeah, Maliko's like, the way I kind of think about it is Maliko's like always so windy. It's like the wind blows the top off it and it like sort of stretches it out. Whereas Oahu seems like maybe it's shallower and because of the different angles. Well, I know China Wall goes really deep to really shallow. So it's like, it just sort of stands up more. And it's, yeah, but from what you're saying.
The other thing is the swells from the Hawaii Chiron are coming straight out of the Kiwi Channel.
Yeah.
And funneling in.
Yeah.
Where Maliko, like, there's no channel that these swells are coming out of. It's purely wind. So it's like you have all this energy from this channel that's funneling into the bay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's fun.
So, okay, so have you gone faster on your, South Shore Oahu run or, North Shore Maui run? Like, yeah, I guess it's obviously
probably I think the fastest I've gone is probably on South Shore Oahu, just because like it's only happened like 2 or 3 times, but there's days when the east swell, like the buoy readings are so big,
yeah,
like where it's like almost sick to surf, but then the wind's also like 30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So even though it's less windy than Maui, it's like Hawaii Chiron's deep water, but once you hit Black Point, the water gets shallow, maybe like 20 to like 40 feet.
Yeah.
Which is relatively shallow on a downwinder.
Yeah.
So like you have all this east swell hitting the reef, and it just like the swell will come this way, then a bump will come this way.
Full wedge.
And then like stack and create like a wedge TP.
Yeah.
And I think I've gone like pretty fast down some crazy ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
On Oahu.
The from Black Point to, I guess, Kaimana, that bit gets super fun. Like it's almost like you're riding swells more than you are the wind.
Yeah.
Because I guess, as you said, the depth. Whereas before, like Hawaii from China Wall to Black Point, it's a different. Like you said, super technical. You got 3 different angles, and there's a clear difference between the first half and the second half of that run. Whereas I guess Maliko is probably more similar all the way along from what I've found anyway.
Yeah, it's the same thing all the way.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, another question. What's Jack working on in his downwind game now that he's done M2M and Bluewater Classic?
To tell you the truth, I'm working on surfing. Like surfboard surfing. I'm like so fired up on surfing right now. Can't wait for winter time to come on the North Shore, and we had a fun summer of downwinding, but now it's like time to go put the foil away and go surf. But I guess like if you're to answer that question, what am I working on with downwind? It's really like probably getting ready for like next summer, like thinking about like logistic wise the next summer of races that I want to do, but also working with lift and kind of see if we can start creating some prototype stuff. The thing about lift foils is that unlike let me think, like I know like the Spencer brothers, they like could take with Slingshot, they could like tell them what they want and they could just make the wing out of just like throwaway carbon. And it's like it's not meant to last, like it's just like meant to try. Or with lift, the way they do it is like the way they design their stuff is pretty technical, and like they'll it's not like it's like months and months of testing. It's like they'll make one, and if it works good, tweak it a little bit more and send it right to production. So it's a little harder to prototype stuff with them, but I think working on a new range of high aspects would be the next step, just because like the 170 is kind of outdated. It's slower than, like, in the start it was good, but that's like almost 2 years old.
Yeah,
I want to say.
foiling's moved
And then
very quickly since then.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
moved on. So that wing is like in the dust. The 120 still shines, but I think like we can go faster and maybe make like a 150. I know like everyone wants a 150, and I think eventually that's going to happen, but it's just like not like not making like the same like version of it, kind of like making it better, you know.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
in the future, there's probably going to be high aspects that are better than the 120, that probably have more lift, that are faster, more glide.
hmm
And I think that's just like where every foil company is kind of going with their gear.
yeah,
But for me, there's nothing like crazy coming up. I'm back to school, senior year for me in
yeah,
high school, and kind of just like cruising, really.
yeah,
Nothing, no crazy downwind runs planned out. Just
yeah.
hanging out every day and
Yeah, I love in
enjoying it.
Hawaii how it's like literally summertime. You guys are like doing the downwind thing because there are less waves, and then in wintertime it's like, okay, shift the focus. Let's dust the
Yeah,
guns off and let's go charge. What
yeah.
plans do you have? Like I've seen you've gotten a few bigger boards, and I know you longboard too. Are you competing in that sort of stuff? And what sort of goals do you have for the big wave?
Um, I know me and my friends were talking about trying to like try to do a little Jaws mission this winter.
Yeah,
On like last winter, there was a day where it was probably like 20 feet and like glassy, which
hmm
is like kind of small for Jaws.
yeah. I think they
And
call.
but
I've
it
been
looked
out
like
there. They call it baby jaws, and it's still
yeah,
massive.
yeah, like maybe getting like a baby Jaws day just to like get our foot in the door. Definitely trying to paddle some big waves this winter on Oahu.
Yeah.
And then I really like Sunset Beach. I've kind of like fell in love with that wave this past winter, and it's like
hmm
it's such a hard wave to surf, but I really love it. So probably just surfing there a lot, and um trips between the islands with my friends like Maui and Kauai. I like to go over for a few days and just hang out with them and surf those waves on those islands.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So yeah.
Very cool. And then the longboard stuff, like you're ripping. Like I've seen you. Obviously, I
Oh, thanks.
follow you on
Thank you.
Insta, and like you're almost putting up more longboard clips than the foiling stuff, which I love the well-rounded approach because that's I sort of I try to do that too. I probably have sort of I'm down the foiling rabbit hole at the moment, but I sort of see surf foiling and downwind foiling like sort of as two different beasts, like two different disciplines, and then like I still sort of sup surf and I paddle my stand up too, surf bigger waves when it's like just prone when it's on, but looks like you're like ripping on the longboard, and I know there's a bit of a longboard scene. Like, are there many competitions you're looking at for longboarding, or are you just free surfing and enjoying that?
Well, the whole longboard thing is a product of my environment. I grew up in Waikiki. It's like to surf, you just surf a longboard. Like there's no like really shortboarding, just because like the waves don't really provide
Yeah.
that for every day. So that's like that. And really like the longboarding thing I took so seriously as a kid, but now I'm just like whatever. Like
hmm
I surfed my longboard this morning twice already. Like we have a south swell right now. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy it. It feels good to surf. I like how it feels, and it's just fun where the all like the competition, the money right now is like all with like my friends who are on Billabong and like teenagers surfing shortboards,
Yeah.
traveling the world. But there's like the longboarding thing is kind of taking off right now with WSL, and they have more events, and
Yeah.
there's like
That's
pretty there's definitely some money in it right now. But with school, it's just like you have to be all in, and really all the guys on the longboard world tour right now are just like doing that. There's no like they're not like foiling, they're not like surfing shortboards. Like that's what they do, and like they're really good at it. But for me, I've kind of fallen behind in that just because like doing a bunch of other ocean sports,
yeah.
and it's just like I'm not mainly focused on that. It's like I'm gonna go shortboard tonight just to switch it up, and it's like kind
Yeah.
of just riding everything right now.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I respect that. I think you've
yeah,
sort of
thanks.
nailed it there. It's like to be competing, you kind of have to go like all in on that, and and not do anything else. And that's not always, like, for me, that doesn't really sit right, because what if conditions are no good for longboarding and it's epic for foiling, or what if it's no good for longboarding and it's good for shortboarding? Like, you're gonna you sort of have to get out in a longboard if you're competing on longboard all the time.
Yeah, I mean, also about like the content right now, it's like I've just been surfing a lot and getting a lot of stuff. But the other thing is like with the downwind stuff, it's like the GoPro is cool to like bring on the GoPro or bring the GoPro on the downwind, but it's like you can only do it like so many times where it gets old.
Yeah.
So I'm
for
trying to
sure.
like try new angles or like try to do like talking while I'm on the downwind or like show more gear. Or, I don't know if anyone wants to give me advice or tips, like just DM me. But it's like trying to figure out like what to put out there and what's like new that someone hasn't done, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's the social stuff is tricky. It's a balancing act, because
It's
you do
tricky.
too much of one thing and people are like, oh, this again, they scroll past. Actually, so
Yeah.
you said for Maui to Molokai you had like film crew and everything, and I was going to ask when you were talking about it, but
Yeah.
is there like a plan for like a big sort of like a little doco or like a little mini film, or is it just bits and pieces that you're going to sort of drip feed?
I mean, I've just posted like little reels here and there of uh the like cinematic footage that we got.
Yeah.
But Annie Reichert, Annie Star on Instagram,
Yeah.
little does the world know, but she's a underground talented video guru. Like she loves to edit videos, and like all her edits as well as my edits on my Instagram, I make them all.
Yeah.
But like all of Annie's edits are made by her.
Uh-huh.
So she's really into it, and Matt Elsasser gave her the opportunity to make like whatever she wanted. Like, so I think really like I don't really know, like the storyboard is all hers, and it's like we shot like some stuff the week before, and I think she has an idea to make like a little like 5-minute maybe like mini film.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure. It's a work in progress still.
Okay, so I'll have to hassle Annie.
Yeah, you'll have to ask Annie. Who knows if she's even doing it? Maybe she's just surfing, but
Yeah.
eventually it will make its way out to the public. I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah. Nah, cool.
But she's so talented that I'm sure she's gonna make something amazing.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt. Annie's a legend, and as you said, very talented. Actually, one more question. Julian asked. He said that you're riding the longer mast, and he said that you don't fall much. So does that play a part in it? And I guess I think he's using a shorter mast. So like, what length mast are you using, and why?
Yeah, I think like I don't foil much. I guess he's getting on like the fact that like maybe if I foiled like every day downwind, you would get the feel of like a shorter mast. And like really for me, I look at it as how much error can you like spare.
Yeah.
For me, I just put the long mast on there just to like so I don't fall, so I don't breach.
Yeah.
I don't want to like I really don't feel that much of a difference between like the shorter one. But like I've only tried it a few times, but I really like it doesn't affect my pop-up too much to the fact where I'm like, oh, I need the short mast. But also like I don't want to breach.
Yeah. So you're using the
like
32-inch mast? Is that?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he's
so 80 centimeters.
Yeah, and he's talking
he's on
about
a 70.
Yeah.
28-inch.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that's.
I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I just like. I don't know. I just like to use it. It works. I'm not like really nitty gritty about the mast stuff. Yeah. Honestly, when people talk about flex, like oh, this mast is so stiff, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, like I kind of know what that means, but like not really.
I think you're probably a little like me. It's like you just sort of use the one thing and kind of make it work, and you get so used to it and so dialed in. It's like, well, yeah, this is what I use, and it's like I haven't tried the shorter one that much.
Lyft sends stock gear to my door, and I just ride it. That's like, really, I'm not like everyone sees like the Greg Stuber or Amundsen tail adapters with your Kane tail and your extender. Like I tried it all, but it's like I really don't need it. Like I think Lyft, honestly, like I mean, I don't know about like the other like Axis. I haven't tried Axis. I haven't tried I've tried Cabrino once, and then but like for the foils that we ride here, everyone rides either Takuma, Cabrina, or Lyft. And out of those 3 foils, I think lift is great because like you could send a foil to your doorstep, open it and ride it straight out the box in its crib. Where like the Takuma, you gotta like buy the freaking shim, and then you gotta like buy the new tail, then you gotta like
Yeah.
shim it this way, shim it that way. Oh, double shim, like
Yeah.
you gotta do all this shit to it where it's like I just want the foil to ride. Like I don't care that much, you know.
I completely resonate with you, but there are a lot of people that are like into the shimming and the tuning the gear, and I guess that there is something in that, but like I think you sort of nailed it when you said, oh, you're riding lots of craft, and you're happy sort of just
Yeah.
dipping your toe in all the different sports, and I think it's I'm with you there, and I've started to explore a bit of the tuning stuff with the Axis gear, and obviously riding GoFoil before that, it's like plug and play, and it's like, yeah, it works. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun. Like it's all working, but it's there. I do believe there is something, and Kane is probably the best example of it. Kane is like the professor, and he's like,
Yeah.
he's tuned every little bit and piece and designed and tweaked, and I hope all his work sort of gets, put into practice so that everyone can sort of benefit from it. But there are people in the foiling world who are so techie and like nerd out on it all, and then there's others that more like yourself that's like, yeah, just
like
got it out of the box, I put it together, and I went.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, if I'm doing a race, I do get it a little technical about it, like what's what. But really, every day, if I'm just going out with my friends, I don't like. It doesn't matter that much to me as long as I'm enjoying. But the thing about Kane, just maybe we can end it here, but I don't want to share too much, and I don't know too much either. But he is gonna release basically everything he's been working on.
Yeah.
And is like he has his own little company going, but like no one knows about it.
Yeah.
I forget what the name is, but he's making foils, of course, and paddles, and I think hopefully boards, but I'm not too sure when he's gonna release it. You're gonna have to talk to him, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling he might drop in the next year or so the most expensive foil and the best foil in the foiling world.
Yeah.
So
he did mention it
keep
last
an eye out
time.
for that.
Last time I spoke to him, he's like, yeah, he was going to relaunch it in Hood River, he said, but obviously I haven't heard anything. But yeah, I don't doubt it, and it's cool that you get to go to Maui and sort of see all the stuff he's working on too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one-man show too. Like he doesn't have like business partners or like design partners. It's literally like him. He lives at home with his parents and just like is like this like just regular guy.
Yeah.
But little do you know, he's just like so successful with design. So
yeah,
he's gonna drop a banger soon, and so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Jack. It sounds like there's a south swell there, so I won't take up too much of your time. But yeah, it's been cool to get a bit of insight, and good to catch up with you. And hopefully I can get over there in 2023, get some runs in with you.
Yeah, thanks. It's always nice talking to you. I love catching up with people who are just as enthusiastic as I am about the sport, and especially with the Downwind stuff. So I mean, you're obviously the man on Instagram when it comes into the Downwind world, and it's always a nice time chatting. So thank you, and aloha, everybody.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks for the time, and yeah, to get you on again soon. But enjoy the winter and enjoy that south swell.
Right on. See you, everybody.
Catch ya.